Good morning. Once again, we have a beautiful day today to celebrate our Memorial Day in honor of our fallen. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Chairwoman Anna Lopez, and on behalf of the Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs, would like to welcome everyone to today's ceremony. The war memorial that stands before us contains the names of 15,000 Delaware and New Jersey service members who gave their lives during World War II and the Korean War. At this time, we ask that you observe a moment of silence for those names inscribed on the memorial and for all who have lost their lives while serving. Thank you. If I may ask everyone to please rise for the presentation of the colors by our Delaware National Guard, Joint Honor Guard, and our national anthem, which will be sung by Army Staff Sergeant Tracy Thomas. Present the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you very much, Staff Sergeant Thomas, for that great rendition of the national anthem. Please remain standing. I would now like to ask for Lieutenant Colonel Peter Pritchett, who is chaplain from Dover Air Force Base, to please come forward to deliver our invocation.
I invite you to pray with me. Almighty God, we recognize your presence in this sacred moment as we gather on this Memorial Day to pay tribute to those men and women who have made the supreme sacrifice of life for the preservation of the freedom of our nation. I thank you for the many blessings in our lives, for the opportunity to live and to serve our great country. I ask for your blessing upon this ceremony. May your hand be upon all the speakers, organizers, and support staff that work hard to make this event a success. I pray for blessing on all who are in attendance. Grant us a sense of the heritage of our veterans, what they have bestowed upon us, and the grace of your presence. I ask all these things according to your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, sir. Everyone, please be seated. At this time, we would like to recognize our distinguished guests in the audience. As many of you recall, last year we had our POTUS visit in attendance. We were deeply honored to have him here last year. He's not in attendance this year. We wish he and his family well during this holiday. We'd like to first introduce our governor for the state of Delaware, Governor John Carney. Lieutenant Governor for Delaware, Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall-Long. U.S. Senator Chris Coons. U.S. Senator Tom Carper. Sorry, we had you a little out of order there. Forgot you. I don't see our Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester here, but she graced us with a presence on Friday. State Senator Laura Sturgeon. State Senator Spiros Montevinos. State Senator Kyle Gay. State Senator David Zacola. Deputy Secretary of State Chris Knight. I don't see Colleen, maybe I missed her. Oh, there she is, our Delaware Treasurer, Colleen Davis. Attorney General Kathy Jennings. Delaware Auditor Kathleen McGinnis. Delaware Deputy Auditor Tori Parker. State Representative Medina Wilson Anton. State Representative Larry Lambert. State Representative Namdi Chipocha. Did I pronounce that right, sir? State Representative Michael Ramone. State Representative Krista Griffith. Executive Director for the Delaware River and Bay Authority, Tom Cook. Director for the Wilmington VA Medical Center, Mr. Vince Kane. Brigadier General Carl Danberg. I would normally announce that our executive director is here, however he cannot be here, so we have Jennifer Jensen, who was integral in putting this ceremony together. So I want to say thank you. Recognize her. She did a wonderful job. Everyone knows this person, Adjutant General retired Frank Vavla. I hope I'm still his favorite Sergeant Major. We have our Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs Commissioners in the front couple of rows here. Please stand to be recognized. And the previous commissioner as well. And of course, our most honored families today, our Gold Star families. Very honored to have you present here. Unfortunately, I probably missed a few folks. Can you please stand to be recognized, sir? I'm sorry. Insurance Commissioner. Trinidad Navarro. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't recognize your name. My apologies. I have to remain flexible. Have I missed anyone else? We've got our DVH director back here, Carol Earhart. Okay, for anyone that was missed, unfortunately, time does not always permit to acknowledge everyone. All of our distinguished guests, I know we have more distinguished guests here today, whether you're up front or in the audience. So we would like to extend our sincere thanks to local officials, service members, veteran service organizations, family members, and all veterans in attendance. It is now time for our Memorial Day messages. Please welcome the Governor of Delaware, Governor John Carney.
Thank you very much, Anna. Good morning to all of you. I think we got everybody introduced. It's good to be here with members of the United States Senate, Senator Carper, Senator Coons, the Lieutenant Governor, and all the statewide elected officials and members of our General Assembly. I do want to put our hands together for the Patriot Guard. The Patriot Guard, I think they're in the back. If you could stand up. They're always here. They're always ready. They're always with us. Special thanks as well to Vince Kane and all the folks at the VA hospital for their tremendous work, particularly over the last 2 years during the pandemic, and Carol and the folks at the Veterans Home for the work, very difficult work that they've done as well. I also want to thank Tom Cook again in the DRBA for making this possible, for keeping these memorials so special for all of us who come and visit. I know General Barry is not here, General Dan Berg, but thank you for being here representing the men and women of the Delaware Army and Air National Guard. They've just been unbelievable. And of course, the one, the only General retired Frank Vavla again needs to be recognized once again, along with Brigadier General retired Terry Wiley, who's a special assistant to the Secretary of the Army. There he is up front. And I saw earlier Brigadier General retired Earl Jake, former member of the General Assembly. Thank you, Earl, for being here as well. As a good Irishman, I start each day reading the obituaries. And in this job, I attend a lot of funerals. My main takeaway when I read about someone's life or hear stories from loved ones at a funeral is not so much death or dying, but about living, and more specifically, about how to live a good life, a brave life, a life true to one's principles, a life worth living. We're here today to remember and honor the dead, but it's also a time to reflect on the extraordinary way in which each of these men and women lived their lives. Each story is different, of course. There's Lieutenant Commander James Connell, a graduate of Salesianum, killed in a Vietnamese POW camp in 1971, but not before he resisted and outsmarted his captors and passed on important information and intelligence to other POWs who were eventually released to help our efforts there. Their senior airman, Elizabeth Lonke, a graduate of Padua Academy, killed in Iraq in 2007, but not before she disarmed more than 20 explosive devices during her deployment. She wrote in her diary before she died, "If I could only save one more life, it would be worth it." There's Second Lieutenant George Mccullen Johnson, a textile worker at DuPont's nylon factory in Seaford, who joined the Delaware National Guard at age 15. 10 years later, during World War II, he died as part of a bomb squadron when his aircraft crashed in the Pacific. Brigadier General Thomas Alfred Smith, an Irish immigrant to Wilmington, was killed on horseback in Virginia in 1865 on the same day that the Confederate Army surrendered. He was the last general officer killed on the Union side, and his body was sent back to the Brandywine Cemetery in Wilmington to be buried. And then there's Sussex Tech's Private First Class Joey Marquez, who died at age 19 just 1 month ago, after following in the proud military footsteps of his grandfather, a master sergeant in the Army. There are thousands of these stories through the history of our country and our state. And the thread running through all of the stories is that each individual made a choice. In more recent times, they made a choice to serve in the first place. They all made a choice to serve honorably. Some made the deliberate choice to sacrifice their lives for someone else's. They all answered the call to serve. And through that action, they gave their lives a lasting meaning, a meaning that's an example for all of us. Through their deaths, they show the rest of us how to live. As I get older, and I'm getting older, beats the alternative, I've been thinking more and more about the passage of time and the time we each are given to live. There's no question that the men and women we remember today died far too soon. The Roman philosopher Seneca wrote that the good life doesn't consist in its length, but in its use. The good life doesn't consist in its length, but in its use. In their short time on this earth, each of the men and women we remember today surely lived a good life. They lived with bravery and selflessness. They died with courage and self-sacrifice. As recent as this past winter, I saw up close the kind of quiet courage that members of our military live out every day. With our hospitals and nursing homes overrun with COVID-19 this winter, members of the Delaware National Guard took a crash course in nursing in early January, about 100 of them. They became certified nursing assistants and were deployed in hospitals and long-term care facilities across the state. They took care of our most vulnerable citizens at a time when the COVID-19 virus, was surging. They worked overnight and on weekends. They dropped everything to help our state during a crisis. General Danberg, please extend my thanks to General Berry and your command staff and to your whole team for this incredible work in a time of crisis. Please, thank you. As I look around, particularly here in the first two rows, I see the family members of those who made that ultimate sacrifice. The people who know those individual stories best that we remember today. Gold Star mothers like Judy Campbell, children left without a father or mother, young widow or widowers. This ceremony today is mostly about all of you, to show you that we remember your loved ones, that we grieve with you, that we remember their individual stories. And we thank you today for your great sacrifice for our country and our state. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Governor Carney. Now, I would like to welcome, let's see, I lost my place here, so bear with me. Our next speaker for reflective remarks is Senator Tom Harper. It's great to see you again, sir.
Thanks very much. Give her a round of applause. She's got the toughest job here to be MC.
Go Navy.
Brought my new favorite hat today. Navy salutes all of you. Commanding officer in the ship's company for the USS Delaware sends their best to Delaware and to all of you on this beautiful, beautiful morning. Give them a nice round of applause. They were here just 2 months ago. I'll say this again. Commanding officer and the ship's crew of the USS Delaware, who were here just 2 months ago, asked me to extend their warmest regards and best wishes for a memorable and meaningful Memorial Day. I want to start by telling a story, and it relates to the Gold Star mothers, Gold Star families that are here today. If you're a Gold Star member of a Gold Star family, just raise your hand. Just raise your hand. Because my grandmother was a Gold Star mother. She was born Effie Mae Kidd, just outside of Beckley, West Virginia, coal mining town. If she were alive today, she would be 130 years old on August 18th. And on her 30th birthday, she gave birth to my mother, who would be 100 years old this August 18th if she were alive. My grandmother bore 3 sons and 2 daughters. One of the daughters, the oldest daughter, was my mom, Mary Jean Patton. And the other was a woman named Ann Patton, who would end up marrying our next door neighbor during the Korean War. And he would go on to serve 2 tours in Korea, and she would bear a number of children from him. My grandmother would also bring 3 boys into the world. 2 of them served in the military during World War II. One of them, my Uncle Jim, was a chief petty officer, supply chief petty officer in World War II. My grandmother's youngest son, my mother's youngest brother, was Bob Kidd Patton. Bob Kidd Patton served on the USS Sewanee. And in August of 1944, Sewanee, on mission in the Western Pacific, was attacked by a Japanese kamikaze aircraft. He was killed. He and a bunch of his shipmates, their bodies were never recovered. And so we never had the opportunity. My grandmother never had the opportunity to say goodbye. For all of my life, as long as I can remember, when I was a little boy, I remember going to my grandparents' house in Beaver, West Virginia. And in the dining room of that house was a picture of my Uncle Bob and his newly minted 3rd-class petty officer in his Navy dress blues a couple of months before he would die. He would die in a war with Japan. Ironically, today, Japan is one of our strongest allies across the planet. Strongest trading partner, strongest military partner. And out of a terrible war and a terrible tragedy and a loss of life for many of us came an alliance that is coming together again, as Chris knows, something called the Indo-Pacific Economic Alliance that is really, think of it as almost like a NATO on an economic basis. Good thing. It'll be a good thing. It'll be a good thing for us, and it'll send a strong message to the Chinese. Keep your hands off of Taiwan. And by the way, forget about militarizing the Sea of the South China Sea, where I used to fly missions during during the Vietnam War. I also want to mention my Uncle Ed. He was married to my mom's youngest sister Ann, and shortly before him was a Marine, served in Korea with distinction. I asked him shortly before his death I asked him how he felt about if he ever felt like going back to Korea. And I've asked this question of many Korean veterans, and I've asked a similar question of Vietnam veterans with whom I served in the Vietnam War. And for the most part, people say, I would not want to go. And my Uncle Ed shared with me shortly before his own death, at the age of, I think, 80, shared with me the horror, the terror that he and his colleagues lived through during the Korean War. Out of the Korean War came something good, though. And what came out good was a strong, an incredibly strong alliance that we have with South Korea. We have no stronger ally or friend in that part of the world than South Korea. They're going to be a part of this Indo-Pacific economic coalition that I just mentioned to you. And last, and maybe most surprisingly, the country that's ended up being one of the strongest partners we have, I never would have imagined it. There's a wall down in Washington, D.C. Sometimes I stay down in D.C. overnight, and I go for a run and run out from the Capitol to where President Lincoln sits. And right there next to him is a black granite wall with the names of 58,000 men and women with whom I served during World War II who gave their life for us. About 20 years ago, I was asked by President George Herbert Walker Bush to lead a delegation, a bipartisan delegation of Vietnam veterans back to Vietnam to meet with a brand new, newly selected Vietnamese leader, a Gorbachev-like guy, a change agent, who was interested in normalizing relations with the U.S. And President Bush gave our delegation, and also John Kerry and John McCain, a roadmap to normalizing relations. We presented that roadmap to normalizing relations. He said, if you, to the new leader of Vietnam, if you will actually tell us what happened to our MIAs, our hundreds, thousands of MIAs, provide relief and peace of mind for the families who've lost their lives. If you'll do that, we will normalize relations. They did it, we normalized relations. Today we have among the strongest alliances, believe it or not, of any nation in that part of the world, it's Vietnam. They're a great trading partner. Our ships call there like they used to. And we talked about, I mentioned this Indo-Pacific alliance that's being formed. They're a strong, strong part of it. In closing, let me just say this. Nothing will ever make up for the loss of my Uncle Bob. That will make up for the folks that your loved ones that are here. Nothing will make up for the loss of our veterans who served in the Korean War or World War II. Nothing will make up for that. Having said that, I never thought I'd live to see this. Something good has come out of their sacrifice. Something good has come out of their willingness not just to serve, but to lay down their lives. Today on this Memorial Day, you know, for years, people would say to me, Happy Memorial Day. I would say, what's happy about it? Well, folks, we can say today, Happy Memorial Day. And I'm going to say it to you and say, thank you, God, for the men and women who serve, laid down their lives for all of us, because of them, something good has come. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Carper. Now it's my pleasure to ask U.S. Senator Chris Coons to please come to the podium for some words, reflective remarks.
Thank you, Sergeant Major Lopez, and thank you to all the members of the Veterans Commission, to the DRBA that helps make this possible every year, to the leadership and staff of the VA Hospital and the Veterans Home, to our governor and lieutenant governor, all the statewide elected officials, the senators and the representatives, and my friend and colleague, Senator Carper. As Senator Carper just shared with you, being one of the Gold Star family members that is here makes Memorial Day especially poignant. You really are the reason we're here. To remember and honor those who laid down their lives for our freedoms and for our nation. Without people willing to take up arms and risk their lives, a country is just a place on a map. It's just a series of coordinates, a stretch of dirt and a piece of history, but with an idea and a vision and a set of values for which men and women are willing to risk everything. A country becomes a nation. And I'm so grateful for all of you who, as veterans, have taken on the risks and burdens of service, and all of you who help support our veterans and who help make sure that we honor them. But today is about those who have fallen. The nearly 1.5 million Americans who across the entire arc of our history have risked and given all, from our Revolutionary War heroes to those who've died just in the past month from Delaware. Our president is having a particularly hard day today. It is the 7th anniversary of the passing of his beloved son, Bo, who served in Iraq. And a number of us are determined to get to his death burn pit legislation that will make sure that those who were affected or impacted by exposure to burn pits in Iraq and Afghanistan and elsewhere are fully cared for by our Veterans Administration. Our president today will be at Arlington, but if you haven't had the chance, just in the last few days, he delivered a commencement address both at our Naval Academy and at the University of Delaware. And I could not agree more forcefully with his sense, a sense shared by many of us Republicans and Democrats, that we are at another critical turning point in the history of freedom in the world and in the struggle for independence. Senator Carper is wearing today a Ukrainian and an American flag pin, and early this morning I was communicating with my friend Senator Rob Portman of Ohio, who is in Eastern Europe, giving updates to many of us about what exactly are the material, the weapons, the systems, and the support that those who fight in Ukraine today need and deserve, that they might win in their determined struggle against Russian aggression. I wanted to share with you briefly a quote. Our defense is in the preservation of that spirit, which prizes liberty as the heritage of all men, in all lands, everywhere. Destroy this spirit, and you've planted the seeds of despotism around your own very doors. That's a quote from Abraham Lincoln. A quote that just as easily could have been used to describe the desperate fight and service of Ukrainians against Russian aggression, as it was used to describe the service of those men and women who fought in our most divisive, difficult, and bloody war of our nation's history, our Civil War. That quote was actually delivered the first time in my hearing at the funeral of my next-door neighbor, Sean Mowdy, who was killed December 11th, 2005 on the streets of Baghdad by an IED. He was on his 3rd tour, a member of the 10th Mountain, in his late 30s, dedicated to training Iraqi police to try and give an opportunity at peace and at liberty for the people of Iraq. At his funeral service, his close friend, Stephen, who read that, shared stories about how as a boy he dreamed of being a soldier and of making a difference in the world. And I'll remind you that from the memory of that hard day to today, from the memory of every member of a Gold Star family here today, whose wounds are in some ways brought raw again by this commemoration, we should, all of us, take from that a measure of the depth of the dedication and determination of all who gave the ultimate sacrifice in the service of this, our nation. Let me just close by saying, if you haven't met Cleopatra Jones, who serves with me, Cleo is my veterans advocate, a Marine Corps veteran who served in Okinawa and Hawaii, and who, with all of us who represent you, gives me the blessing every day of being able to advocate for and engage with those who have served, are serving, and those families of the fallen who on occasion have the blessing of returning to American soil through Dover Air Force Base. To all today who mourn, know that your sacrifice is remembered, that it matters, and that it is part of this great arc of sacrifice in service of a nation dedicated to freedom. And last, this is one of those moments in American history where we all should gather regularly, not as Democrats or Republicans or independents, not as people divided by differences of race or religion or ideology, but just to remember how hard so many served and sacrificed to make this weekend of freedom possible. So to all of you who so faithfully gather every Memorial Day and Veterans Day, thank you for reminding us what it means to be American and how dear the price was paid to make today possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Coons, to all of our speakers thus far. Next, I'd like to welcome Representative Nnamdi I know how to pronounce your name. Representative Nnamdi Chukwucha. Yep. Okay, got it right. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. To our Gold Star families, thank you. To Governor, fellow delegation, my colleagues in the House, all of the veterans organizations, our favorite general. I would just like to say, as a veteran and as a member of the General Assembly, this says quickly, and as the poet laureate, co-poet laureate for the state of Delaware, this has truly quickly became my favorite event every year to share my words and sentiments. And for that, I would like to thank my predecessor as the chair of the House Veterans Committee, Representative former General Earl Jakes. He gave me this opportunity 3 years ago, I believe, to stand here. He didn't have to, but he let me come here and share some words, and it has been an honor ever since. So thank you, Earl. Thank you for believing in me, and thank you for allowing me to share my words. My words today are entitled A Grateful Nation, and it's about the importance of remembrance. And I have a twin brother. For those who don't know, he never cries. I'm a crybaby. I cry every day. I tried to read this poem 4 or 5 times before I got here so I can get the crying out, but it happens. And when you feel what you're saying, when it's from your heart, it matters. And today is a day that matters. It's days like today where we show that we are truly a grateful nation. It's a moment like this when our country is at its strongest, unified in its mission, rooted in its tradition, patriotism unwavering, holding true to honoring those who are most deserving. Their bravery, far beyond words, our freedoms they were fighting to preserve. This is the day where we remember. This is about more than barbecues or discounted sales or parades, even Old Glory flying or placing wreaths upon graves. This is a day for our nation, remembering the sacrifices that have been made. When you really remember the legacy and tradition, Memorial Day isn't just one day, it's every day. It's a chance to live with a difference. It's the way that you're living, it's your daily honor and tribute, respecting what has been given. Today we shine our light on those dark, unspeakable moments, those written down in history for defending the land of the brave, to those who are excluded from history's page. Today we say, thank you. We remember our privates and our generals. We remember you, your amazing feats and your heroics at war, performed in every continent, land, sea, air, and shore. We remember. As a grateful nation, we remember. We remember our children, our mothers, our fathers, our grandfathers and grandmothers, our uncles and our aunts, our cousins. We remember our family soldiers. We remember because this is love. We remember the how and why. It is that love that's in our every breath, that's in our every step, placing us on the path, connecting our present with our past, creating strong bonds between generations, not just remembering, but refusing to forget. For this is the strength of a grateful nation. Remembering our lost troops, remembering a very uncomfortable truth that our freedoms have never been free. They have always been paid for by those who believe. A strong nation will always build upon its strength as we honor those soldiers, those men and women who carried on, who made this grateful nation strong. We remember those unforgettable moments for our families, the moments of strength for our nation. A grateful nation, a nation forever grateful, a nation forever changed. The battles and conflicts, those known and unknown, for those who came black beneath draped flags, and for those who never returned home, for those with honors of distinction, and for those who were never acknowledged for their missions, to the known and unknown stories of glory, truly the heart of a grateful nation, to our Gold Star families that carry the weight of our nation, we say thank you. Remembering our nation's darkest hours, your dedication, commitment, and valor, missions fulfilled through anguish, families' unspeakable pain, a nation forever grateful, a world forever changed. Your memory never forsaken. Through remembering, this is how we make a better world, a better nation. This is the importance of remembrance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative Chikocha. I can understand why that message was hard to deliver without becoming emotional, as many of us probably are as well. So thank you very much. Now it is my pleasure and my sincere honor to introduce our keynote speaker today, Colonel Chip Colander. He began his career as an enlisted behavioral health specialist until he was commissioned in the year 2000. Since then, he has served as a commander to hundreds and managed more than 1,200 deployed personnel while operating out of the Pentagon. In 2015, he was hand-selected to be the Deputy Commander of the Air Force Mortuary Affairs Operations, located at Delaware Air Force Base, until 2017. During those 2 years, he was charged with ensuring the dignity, honor, and respect for the return of 201 fallen military members, and the care, service, and support to more than 800 family members. He returned to Dover in 2021 and is currently serving as the commander of the Air Force Mortuary Affairs, where he is the lead for all mortuary matters for current and past conflict missions, including serving as the dignified transfer officer for the return of the 13 service members who died in Kabul, the largest single event in a combat theater of operations in more than a decade. So it is my pleasure to ask Colonel Colander to please come up and give us his reflective words.
Good morning. Thank you for being here today and inviting me to honor our fallen with you. It's a privilege to be here in this beautiful Memorial Plaza. It's an honor to honor the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice for our great nation. To our many distinguished guests, to our Gold Star families, to our veterans, our service members, and fellow Americans, thank you for dedicating time to be here. It sends a clear signal on the value you place on what this day represents. Today we gather to remember and honor those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. To those fallen heroes who never came home to their families, to their friends, to their communities. For generations, the men and women who served in our armed forces in times of both war and peace have helped preserve the precious gift of liberty that we as Americans enjoy each day. This Memorial Day, let's take this sacred opportunity to reconnect with our nation's history and our national values by honoring those who gave their lives for the ideals that we cherish. For many of us, Memorial Day marks the beginning of summer. Across our country, families are getting together for picnics and barbecues, going boating or playing baseball in the park. Communities are coming together for parades and other festive celebrations. I hope you have many opportunities to celebrate today, because we understand that freedom, as we know it, is worth celebrating. However, we must never forget that our freedom comes at an extremely high cost and has never been free. This day of remembrance was first observed to mark the terrible losses inflicted when Americans fought each other in the Civil War. Hundreds of thousands of Americans fell on our own soil, giving the last full measure of devotion in President Lincoln's enduring phrase. Since then, succeeding generations have fallen on the fields of battle far from home. They fell in the jungles of the South Pacific and the bloody beaches of Normandy, on the icy slopes of the Korean Peninsula, and in the rice paddies of Vietnam, the mountains and caves of Afghanistan, and the sands of Iraq. General Douglas MacArthur once wrote this about the American soldiers who fought with him, island by island in the Pacific during World War II. He said, "They plod and groan, sweat and toil, they growl and curse, and at the end they die, unknown, uncomplaining, with faith in their hearts and on their lips a prayer for victory." We're not just here to mourn these heroes, we're here to celebrate them and their sacrifices. Their willingness to put service before self has protected the freedom that we enjoy. I encourage you to talk with those who served during World War II, Vietnam, Korea, or Southwest Asia. Listen to their stories, but realize there are many stories we will never have the opportunity to hear. General George S. Patton said, "It's foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived." Our military men and women have defended America throughout our history with courage and honor. They signed up to fight because they knew they had to. They signed up to fight so someone else didn't have to. So America would always be the great place it is. They did what they knew they had to do, never asking for recognition or fanfare. Freedom of this kind is found in few precious countries the world over. When compared to other nations, America always emerges the champion, with the most liberty and the most opportunities. People of every race, ethnicity, and background come here or spend their lives trying to come here because of what we stand for, and freedom. Today we remember that at this moment we are enjoying this wonderful day. Men and women of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and now our Space Force have served and sacrificed and are still doing so around the world. They are admirably contributing to the continued struggle to reach lasting peace. They all, past and present, deserve our support and our gratitude. I am reminded of the very fitting words found on graves and war memorials around the world. When you go home, tell them of us and say, "For their tomorrow we gave our today." We may never fully appreciate all the sacrifices made for us, but let us use our gift of today to honor those who made our tomorrows possible. I don't have to tell you how fragile this precious gift of freedom is. Every time we hear, watch, or read the news, we are reminded that liberty is a rare commodity in this world. Only those who have seen the horrors of war firsthand can ever truly know what these soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines went through in their final moments. Each of them knew what their duty was, but surely each of them also dreamed of coming home to the people they loved and the life they cherished. Each of them had families waiting eagerly to see them again. We know they were forced to leave their hopes and dreams behind when they went off to war. They parted with them forever when they died. Every loss is a loss to our nation, a loss to our military, and most importantly, an immeasurable loss to the mothers and the fathers and all the Gold Star family members. As we gather to honor the memories of the fallen, a piece of us struggles to understand a meaning of such sacrifice and loss. But when we look up and see our flag, our banner of freedom soaring high, when we see our children playing freely, when we practice the faith of our choice, when we head to the polls without threat of violence and take part in a democratic process, when we exercise any of the freedoms that we possess, we are reminded of that meaning. Last Memorial Day, our Commander-in-Chief, President Biden, stated, "We must honor their sacrifice by sustaining the best of America, while honestly confronting all that we must do to make our nation fuller, freer, and more just." In the course of our nation's history, over 1.3 million Americans have fallen in the defense of our nation. We still have more than 80,000 Americans unaccounted for from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and the Cold War, all presumed lost. We must honor their memory as well. Whether killed in action or missing in action, this very distinct group of Americans gave up all their tomorrows so we could enjoy ours. Dover Air Force Base in the great state of Delaware has a special place in how we as a nation begin the process of honoring our combat fallen. The Dover Port Mortuary supports our shared mission to repatriate our fallen with dignity, honor, respect, while caring, serving, and supporting their families. I'll leave you this from John F. Kennedy. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. So on this and every Memorial Day, we must never forget the meaning of this day and remember those proud patriots who made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of liberty's blessings. May God bless you. May God continue to bless our great nation. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much, Colonel Colander, for your words. Certainly a very powerful and touching speech, and from the grateful veteran community, we very much thank you and your team for everything that you do and for honoring our fallen brothers and sisters. I understand that we also had Chief Kevin Smith from Delaware Air Force Base Mortuary Affairs Division, gave a very inspiring speech on Saturday at our Bear Cemetery Memorial Day ceremony. So again, thank you to you, sir, and to your staff. Okay, apparently I missed something. Oh, okay. God Bless America is out of on the program based on the script, so I apologize, Staff Sergeant Whitmore. Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall Long, it's an honor for me to have her come up for closing remarks.
Wait a minute, Senator Harper's like, oh, are you going to sing? Not today. And if you don't know, I am not Josh, who is listed in the closing remarks, but I had the remarkable opportunity to work with Josh an incredible amount. And I want to say to Colonel Hollander, I just thank you as a behavioral health specialist. And to Mr. Smith, I was present at the Bear Cemetery, and I want to just start by giving accolades, and I want everyone to join me thanking our Dover Air Force Base for the incredible dignified transfers and those angel flights. Thank you. For those of us who had the experience, they are one of the most moving, palpable, heartfelt, individualized memorials that one could ever attend. And to my incredible colleagues, my governor, our congressional delegates, and our General Assembly and other statewide electeds, I think we've heard today a theme of courage, dedication, self-sacrifice, And if we think what Colonel Highlander, what you stated, 154 Memorial Days have passed, or Decoration Day, as they originally were called. And I think about the self-sacrifice, and as I look to our Gold Star mothers, our Gold Star families, you live Memorial Day every day. You have the empty chairs, you've had the lost opportunities, but we in the military families all are here to support. And that's what today is about. And for those families and those who've served, those who are veterans, we say thank you. And we think about how the military service molds us. Senator Harper, your career. I know for my family, being married to a military veteran, my father, an Army infantry medic who was 20-some years in the Guard, changed our perspective. And I remember my father always saying, and you touched on this, Colonel, those fallen gave us their tomorrows. And he would say, young lady, what are you going to do with your today and your future? And so I think about as we leave here today that we're not leaving and closing with just words. That I am so privileged to be here with all of you and to our incredible poet laureate who talked about the remembrance and understood that we have a calling. So to rededicate, to retool, and to thank all of you organizations who are represented here. I'm preaching to the choir in one sense. Many of you volunteer at our veterans home, and kudos to Carol and her team for keeping our veterans safe during COVID. Thank you so very much for that. Yeah, that deserves some applause. Thank you. And to those who go out and volunteer at our cemeteries, and those who go out and volunteer with our Veterans Administration and all the organizations that are supporting our men and women currently around the nation, we want to close with a thanks and a rededication, and to be thinking about where you might fit. And I have to digress for just briefly. Governor Carney, with the support of our congressional delegations, has joined the Federal Substance Abuse Mental Health Service to offer in our state the Governor's Challenge, which is a fabric, a weaving across our nation with behavioral health support. And I have to say, I am honored to mention this to you today. Not only are we dedicating today to those who've fallen, but also to those who have invisible scars. And I've had the distinct privilege to work with Vince Kane at our VA, and my co-chair, who always gets the most applause, General Davila, on a very serious topic. Every day, 22 soldiers take their lives in this country from suicide. And so those invisible scars are important. So even today, if you can't join an organization to rededicate and you want to learn more, see these two gentlemen or my office. We welcome your support as we try to address those in isolation. Perhaps you have a neighbor who's been alone. Pick up the phone and call. So again, the invisible scars, along with the wounds and the permanency lost in your hearts. So again, thank you for being here today. It was my honor to be the wing woman to Josh. He will owe us one. But I just really want to thank you again from the bottom of our hearts on behalf of all of us who serve in public service. Thank you so very much. And we'll turn this back to the incredible leader, Anna Lopez, who I know with our VA Commission every day stands to work for equity and uplifting our soldiers. So thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall-Long. Very much appreciated. And to all the leaders, to all our speakers, thank you very much for sharing your heartfelt insights at this. Okay, I have to get Jennifer up here real quick because we're a little out of order here. Apologies.
We're gonna go skip down here.
Okay.
And then she'll sing after we're done with the.
And then the chaplain.
Yes.
Okay, so we're a little out of order, so apologies. Now it is time for our floral presentation, our floral tribute. If you were in attendance during our Veterans Day ceremony, you know that we changed it around a little bit. So as I read your organizational name, I ask that you please stand if you are able and salute the wreath to honor our veterans, our fallen. American Gold Star Mothers. Thank you. Gold Star Families Chapters, Delaware Chapter. The Honorable John Carney, our Governor. The Honorable Bethany Hall Long, Lieutenant Governor. The Honorable Thomas Carper, U.S. Senator. The Honorable Chris Coons, U.S. Senator. Delaware General Assembly. Air Force Sergeants Association. Our commissioners are here today. We have American Legion for Delaware, New Jersey, and American Legion Auxiliary. Thank you. And vets, American Veterans. Americans of Polish Descent Cultural Society. Association of the U.S. Army Delaware Chapter. Colonial Paralyzed Veterans of America. Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs. Delaware Military Heritage and Education Foundation, Incorporated. Delaware National Guard. Delaware Office of Veteran Services. Delaware Patriot Guard. Delaware River and Bay Authority. Delaware Society Daughters of the American Revolution. Delaware Society Sons of the American Revolution. Delaware Veterans Incorporated. Delaware Veterans Coalition. Heroes Welcome. Hogs and Heroes Delaware. Kamikaze Survivors Association. Korean War Veterans Association of Delaware. Marine Corps League and Auxiliary, Department of Delaware and New Jersey. Military Officers Association of America. Military Order of the Cootie and Auxiliary, Brand of Delaware, New Jersey. Military Order of the Devil Dogs, Pack of Delaware. Military Order of the Purple Heart. National Association of Black Veterans, Delaware Chapter 94. Pilgrim Baptist Church Veterans Ministry. Purple Heart Riders. Scottish American Military Society, the First Aid Camp. Silent Service Motorcycle Club. Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War. The U.S. War Dogs Association, Incorporated. United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. U.S. Army. United States Marine Corps with Marcorps Prospect Center. United States Navy with Navy Operations and Support Center. United States Coast Guard. United States Submarine Veterans Incorporated. Veterans of Foreign Wars and Auxiliary Departments of Delaware and New Jersey. Vietnam Veterans of America, Delaware. Vietnam Veterans Motorcycle Club. Warrant Officers Association, First State Capital. Statewide elected Delaware officials. I'm not sure how I missed this. Disabled American Veterans. Okay, at this time, if your organization was not called, you're welcome to please stand and salute at this time. Thank you, sir. And how can we miss this? The Wilmington VA. We'll get them all together one of these years, promise. With that said, for any organizations that were not listed, you're please welcome to come see me at the end of the ceremony so that we can ensure that we get you on our list for Veterans Day ceremonies and any future ceremonies. Okay, Jennifer, what's next? Because now we're all out of order and I'm confused. Okay, now I'd like to please welcome our chaplain again. Colonel Peter Pritchett, please come forward for the memorial prayer.
Yes. I invite you to pray with me. Almighty God, today we thank you for your hand upon this service. We offer our gratitude for all the men and women who have served and who are currently serving for their country in defense of freedom, for their sacrifice of time, their talent, and life. We pause today to honor them. In times past, when we needed people of courage, we were blessed with men and women who offered their lives and did not have any doubt that it was the right thing to do. Today, in this ceremony, we remember them. We also think and we grieve with the families and ask that your great heart of love may sustain them in all the times of deep sadness, loneliness, and even times of anger. We acknowledge our debt to those of our nation who have given their lives for their country, for their freedom, for justice and liberty. May we never forget the value of their sacrifice, nor the nobility of courage, nor the tenacity of endurance, which have purchased for us peace, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We commend these fallen to your mercy and ask that you give them eternal rest. This we ask and pray in your name. Amen.
Thank you again, sir. Now we would like to ask Staff Sergeant Thomas to lead us in God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Please be seated. Well, we've already done our floral presentations, so we are going to actually ask you to stand back up. Sorry, we're getting a little exercise. I know everyone's kind of hot.
Announcement.
Okay, we're now gonna do our honor volley, and then
The
our.
September 1 announcement.
Oh, okay. Very quick message before we move on. Just wanted to announce very quickly before we end the ceremony that there is a Phase 2 Gold Star Memorial completion on 1 September at 10 a.m. And we ask that you please contact Judy Campbell. We wanted to make sure we get that message out before we end our ceremonies. So now we can move on to our honor volley. Again, we would all like to thank you on behalf of the Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs, Office of Veteran Services, for all of the attendees today. And thank you to all of our veterans in attendance and for your service and sacrifice. May you have a wonderful rest of the Memorial Day, a blessed day, and please have safe travels. Thank you.
Good job.
I was a little confused there.